Hey friends, how's it going? Thanks for tuning back in to Signal Trek. We're going to be talking about Meshtastic and MeshCore today. And it's something that I actually tried to get into back in January of 2024, not long after Meshtastic first started getting kind of popular. I bought a node and tried to connect to a few other nodes that I spotted in the city of Denver, Colorado, that were on the Meshtastic map. Was never able to connect to anyone else. I kept it for a couple months, experimenting with it, doing a few different things, and again, was never able to connect to anyone outside of my own little realm here at home. So I sold the node. I was like, I'm not going to do this if people aren't going to get interested in it. I should have kept it, because every new mode like that, in my opinion, sort of goes through an infancy stage where, you're going to have very little users using it until people start to find out about it. It starts to pick up a little bit of momentum, and people start to realize the cool things that Mesh can do. And a couple of my friends were posting some pictures recently in a Discord, and I sort of wanted to get back into it. So we'll be looking at a cool mesh node that I ordered off of Etsy the other day. We'll check that out here in just a minute. But again, just wanted to talk briefly about mesh. I tried to get into it about 2 years ago. Again, it faltered horribly because there wasn't that many people that were participating in it. And the only way that you really could find someone that was participating in it, if you were lucky, you had to be like near a city center, right? For the folks that are out in rural America that are trying mesh, I feel for you. I do. And I encourage you to keep your nodes up, because I think that as mesh grows, hopefully, the goal is that one day we'll have sort of a nationwide network. And what intrigues me about mesh is its potential. And while it may not be there just yet, though it has grown exponentially, it's exploded lately. That's why I'm getting back into it. Again, as it grows, it will only get better, and we will only be able to do cooler things with it the more that we support the developers of it and the folks who are creating these really cool devices and selling them to hams and non-hams. You don't have to be licensed to use Meshtastic. However, if you are, that allows you to use one, higher power, but you can't use the encryption feature of Mesh, which if you turn off the encryption function, in a lot of ways you sort of isolate yourself from the rest of the mesh world, which that's totally okay, because folks will approach mesh from many different angles. All right, this is not just something that you can use to message other people. Okay, while it can do that, it can do so much more, and I've got a little graphic advert that we're going to go over here. And just some of the cool things that mesh can do. I created this little animation that kind of shows you all of the really cool things that mesh can do. I'll play that here in just a minute. So my hope is that it will only continue to grow. The devices have only gotten better. This one I got right here has what's called a Heltec V4, and it's a LoRa, LoRa. It's long-range radio, operates on the 900 megahertz band. Maximum power is 1 watt if you have the proper devices. Some devices out there don't transmit with that much power, but the newer devices have more power, and they also have solar charge capabilities. The Heltec V4 allows you to connect a solar panel directly to it, and you can charge a battery off of that. It's not a charge controller in a sense. It's not like an MPP charge controller where it's going to track, the maximum power coming in from the solar panel. It's just a feature that sort of accepts a wide range of voltages coming in from the panel and charges your batteries for you. Kind of a simple smart charger, if you will. So yeah, I'm really excited about mesh, and looking at the maps and how much it's grown. Of course, the big areas that it's grown has been here in the United States, Europe, a little bit of Asia, and maybe a little bit of Australia. So it's sort of still in its beginning stages, I would think. But as with all modes, let's help get the word out there. Let's show other folks how cool this is, because I was telling my local radio club, this is a really excellent opportunity for our radio club to connect with non-licensed hams, right? You have a lot of people out there that are in the makerspace community, the electronics community, that aren't licensed, that are into Meshtastic, and you have the potential to potentially reel them in and maybe get them licensed and bring them into the radio club, because our hobbies are very closely intertwined. But again, the cool thing about this is that you don't have to have a license to do it. And I think that's one of the things that's so appealing about it to most people, is that you don't have to have a license. So you can just immediately start tinkering with it. Imagine a grid down situation. No cell towers, no internet, no central systems. That's where mesh networks shine, in my opinion. In a mesh, every home or relay becomes a node, passing traffic for others instead of relying on one tower. Mobile nodes reshape the network as they move, briefly linking places that weren't connected moments ago. Fixed nodes monitor gates, wells, and pumps, for example, sending their status back through the mesh back home. Handheld units and vehicle nodes expand coverage, turning movement into temporary relay paths. More users mean more routes, giving each message multiple ways to get through. When nodes meet, they exchange queued messages automatically, pushing delayed data forward. Hilltop relays connect distant compounds into regional networks spanning miles. At home, operators see network health, telemetry, and messages from across the region. Step back and you see a living communications fabric, adapting as people move and systems fail. The biggest thing that draws me to mesh, well, there's two things, and the second one really is kind of a shower thought, and I want y'all to think about this for a minute, kind of a random thought that I had. The biggest thing that draws me to mesh is that there's no one single point of failure, right? You're not dependent upon this big system like a phone company or a cell phone company to provide you with connectivity to the rest of the world. It is like this communication system that is owned by the citizens, and it's only as good as we make it, right? The second thing I wanted to talk about, now this goes way back into history. For those of you that didn't know, back during World War II, from 1941 through 1945, there was a 4-year period in which amateur radio operators were not permitted to transmit, right? They could listen, but they were not allowed to transmit on any frequency. You know, it's a licensed hobby, right? And so it was easier for the government to just say, hey, hams, we're shutting this all down. You got to shut all your radios down. So now fast forward to 2024, 2023, whenever Mesh came out. The 900 megahertz band is essentially unlicensed, right? It's basically the same band that a lot of the Internet of Things devices uses. And the thing that started entering my mind was, if they ever did initiate an amateur radio shutdown again, which I don't think they ever would, because we've been in so many conflicts since, and it's never happened again. But if it did happen again, if the shit did hit the fan, all right, I'm talking World War, big war, which I hope to God never happens, would this be affected? Would the government say, hey, we need to shut down all Internet of Things devices? We need to shut down baby monitors. We need to shut down garage door remotes, because that's the same category that this falls under. So I don't think it would be affected. Now, that's not to say that it wouldn't. I mean, the government can do some pretty crazy things sometimes. So yeah, it just kind of in the back of my mind, I'm like, here's this opportunity to create this really cool network that we can communicate with each other with and not be dependent upon anyone or anything, right? So that's the coolest thing for me. Let's go check out this radio node. In the next video, we'll dive deeper into node configuration and network topology. I'll be installing a second rooftop relay node so this base station here can establish an external RF link, extend my coverage, and interface with other mesh nodes across the city.